But in this part of the programme, we're driving two Japanese cars, both built in Britain. And both could be described as being rather, well, dull, to be honest. The Toyota Avensis and the Honda Civic. Now, if you're thinking that you've seen the Honda Civic somewhere before, but with a different badge on it, well, you're absolutely correct, because the Civic is also a Rover 400. This car was the last of the collaborations between Rover and Honda before they went their separate ways. But this car is built in Britain, in Swindon, but inside leaves a lot to be desired. And what I mean by that is, well, just look at the dashboard. It's rather dull and plain, but it's functional. There's an attempt at some fake wood trim there to liven up the cabin a bit. Things like the electric window switches are thrown haphazardly into the car. For instance, search for the passenger side electric window switch and you'll search in vain for a while until you find it hidden down here by the handbrake. But this is a 1.4S and it has got air conditioning on it. Build quality on these British-built Civics is right up there with the very best, as you would expect from Honda. It's very, very good and somewhat better probably than you'd find on a comparable Rover 400 model. Inside the cabin, well, as we mentioned before, it's somewhat dull and plain. I think that Honda are a bit of a sort of Jekyll and Hyde company. They produce stunning supercars like the NSX, and then they build the Honda Civic, driven by little old ladies to the shop and back. You'll find that many of the Honda Civics have done very little mileage because they just don't get used that often. They really are used to go back and forth to the shops and rarely get a good blast on the motorway or a long journey. So you can pick up some really low mileage cars at reasonable money. Now, the Civic was first launched back in 1995 and production of this car has now finished because there's an all-new Civic out. This car has done 16,000 miles and you could buy this for £6,500. The Honda Civic range is comprehensive. You've got a good choice of body styles to choose from. A two-door coupe, a three- or five-door car like this, a four-door saloon, and a five-door estate, which they call the Aero Deck. And lots of engines, starting off with this 1.4, there's a 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 petrol engines, and a 2-litre turbo diesel. The pick of the engines to choose would probably be the 1.8, producing 167 brake horsepower. One good thing about buying a Honda Civic is that these cars do hold their value particularly well. When this car was new, it only cost about £12,000. This is a 1.4S. It's got an 89 brake horsepower engine. Doesn't sound a lot, but it's nippy in such a small car, and it drives very well.
If you like the look of the Civic and wanted to feel patriotic, you might choose the identical Rover 400 instead. But don't forget, these are built in Britain too. The all-new and vastly different Civic seems to have gone down well with Honda's loyal owners, making the old Civic see a slump in values.
Reliable and well screwed together are words that sum up the Honda Civic, and pretty cheap too, with this sort of car for £6,500.